Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, they now admit bisphenol A is making girls as young as 3 go into puberty. Hundreds of thousands at age 7. It's happening in Europe, England, the United States. It's feminizing boys. And now I have Times of London, The Mail, Wired Magazine. Oh, they're going to inject the troops with DNA boosters that block off areas of their brains. Oh, we're going to give the public an anti-stress vaccine so you can't get upset. It's a herpes virus carrying a hormone that then attacks the receptor site so you can never feel those emotions. And they say, because we want to calm you down. And they now admit that that's what the fluoride is about. They're now proposing suddenly, in literally hundreds of newspapers in the last 3 weeks, we've covered it here, lithium needs to be put in the water to calm everyone, a toxic metal antipsychotic. Everything David Icke has talked about, we know this has already been going on from all the studies. Now they're coming out with it. David, are they doing this because they're getting desperate and we've been exposing them, and now they want to take the power of exposure away and just spin it?
Well, I think that's part of it. I mean, there's more and more holes that are being sprung in the dike every day of their suppression of understanding and knowledge of what's actually going on. But if you go back many decades, Alex, to 1932, when a book was published by a guy called Aldous Huxley called Brave New World, people have said to me over the years, what's the plan? And I've said, well, just read 2 books to get the feel for it. One, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. 2, George Orwell's 1984. Now, interestingly, Aldous Huxley was a teacher at Eton College, this elite college that the Royals go to near Windsor Castle. And one of his pupils was a guy called Eric Blair, who later wrote under the name of George Orwell. And they were connected, because you'll know this well, and many other people, to the Fabian Society. And because the Fabian Society, which was the creator of the British Labour Party, of Tony Blair and all the rest of it, because they are a major strand in the web, if you are an inner circle member of that, you have access to the projected agenda for the world going forward a long time. And this allows you to write prophetic novels, apparently novels, from actual understanding of what the game is. And then when we get to where we are now, we look back and we go, that Brave New World in that 1984, my God, they were so accurate. How did they do that? Because they had access to this information. And
Let me back you up. I always have to interrupt David because I want to back him up because he just states the facts. I want to give you the proof. David, there is a 1962 hour-long speech he gave at Berkeley. Just Google Aldous Huxley Berkeley speech. You'll hear the audio. And he said in the speech that his pupil was George Orwell. He said that his brother was the head of the UN eugenics program, Julian Huxley. And he said, my pupil is wrong. It will only be 20 or 30%. 1984. The rest is making you love your servitude with chemicals. This is what we plan with eugenics, and I'm telling you now because you're too weak to even resist us. And then he died 2 months later. He knew he was dying, so he went ahead and came out and said, I wrote this in 32. He also wrote that in Brave New World Revisited, written in the 50s. He said, this is our actual plan. This is nonfiction. Sorry, David, go ahead.
Well, that's absolutely right. And what he's talking about and writing about since the 1930s is exactly what's happening today, because he knew it was coming. He had access to the projected agenda, and that is to control people through drugs. And the reason that some of these so-called prophetic writers can write novels, futuristic novels, including technology and drug techniques that weren't even thought about at the time they wrote them, is because they have access to the agenda. And this takes us somewhere else. In Brave New World, the theme is that parents parents no longer bring up children or even give birth to them. They're brought up in state hatcheries, and it's all laboratory birth, basically creating clones for the masses who have no ability to think with any level of intelligence.
David, stay there. Got to interrupt you. Long segment coming up.
Okay.
And now the state calls the family a disease. They admit the plan is to end the family. They're going to have year-round schooling. Then your kids will stay there till nighttime. We'll be right back.
Listen up, friends. This is Alex Jones with key information. The mainstream media is now admitting that we're going into a depression. Don't be dependent on the government for you and your family. You need to get your own supply of high-quality storable foods from eFoodsDirect.com. They're the best company out there, the longest continually operating, with a ton of great food to choose from. It's all fresh, made on a monthly basis, not some old cruddy food they're selling you like some of the other guys. Try their new Evacuation Pack, a 2-week supply of delicious, easy-to-fix food. It comes with all the equipment you need to prepare it. With open talk of a strike on Iran in the next 3 months, the crisis in the Gulf, and possible evacuations, get yourself and your family ready today. The place to go is eFoodsDirect.com. Go to their website online right now, eFoodsDirect.com/Alex, or call 800-409-5633. Again, on the web, eFoodsDirect.com/Alex, or give them a call at 800-409-5633. Alex Jones here with urgent information concerning TrendsResearch.com. The Trends Journal distills the voluminous ongoing research of the Trends Research Institute into a concise, readily accessible form. By tracking 300 separately defined domestic and international trends, the Trends Journal establishes the connections that others fail to see or misinterpret. Gerald Salente's Trends Journal allows you to anticipate change, recognize the implications, and take protective strategies. Individual readers from every walk of life can put the Trends Journal Trends Forecast and Trends Analysis to practical use. Extra information to keep you well informed throughout the year when any current event of major social, economic, or political significance occurs. Trends Journal notifies its subscribers of their implications. When you subscribe to the Trends Journal, you'll also receive Trends Alerts. Visit TrendsResearch.com today. That's TrendsResearch.com. Subscribe to the Trends Journal. This information is too important to wait.
You may be arrested and or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on Earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Well, the one, the only, David Icke is our guest for the balance of the hour. If you just joined us, we were talking about Aldous Huxley, who in 1932 wrote Brave New World, about a caste system with the scientific, technocratic elite right down to suboid, 3-foot-tall dwarf creatures that serve the elite. Their main focus was to make their slave class go into puberty at around age 7, but then to also be quasi-sterile. But they wanted them to go into puberty so they'd be developed as work slaves by that point so they couldn't challenge them. Now the age of puberty is moving to 7 in girls. The bisphenol A has done well. And he bragged. He said, look, already in England, before he died, he said, we've got remote control at the mental institutions with brain implants. He said, my brother at the UN is developing this. He said, this is the plan. And so when you read that science fiction book, it's not science fiction. And again, he wrote a book decades later called Brave New World Revisited, nonfiction, where he just laughs at you and points out that most of us will be killed. David Icke, we're getting into the hatcheries, how they take the babies at birth, how they genetically engineer them in laboratories. That's their plan. And now they're moving, and I got Pentagon declassified documents, to just fly over us and spray the viruses on us we get a headache, we get sick, and then it destroys our receptors that allow us to think or become angry. And so that's clearly where they're going, not just lacing the vaccines with this. Please continue.
Yeah, and the other aspect of this, I mean, you mentioned a few minutes ago, is this multi-level attack on the family unit. And I've got really seriously into one area of this over the last 6 months, which is the state stealing children from loving parents. It is an absolute epidemic in Britain. I was speaking at Trafalgar Square on Saturday at a rally against child abuse in which this stealing children by the state was a fundamental part of it. I've been getting involved in one or two individual cases and trying to give my support to mothers who've had. I'll give you one example. A young daughter, she's now 10. Says the father has been abusing her for years. The mother takes the daughter to social services and the police and says, this is what she's saying, and I want unsupervised visits to the father stopped until we've sorted this out. They refuse to investigate, and when she then starts action against the police and the social services for not investigating, they then say to her, we think you're a split personality, and away goes the child, and they give the child to the relative of the father.
But David, specifically, I've had members of British Parliament on, and it's even in your mainstream news, in the London Telegraph, that there are quotas on children before they're even born for the adoption racket.
That's right, and financial incentives around the world to meet these targets, which means if you can't find enough genuinely abused children by their parents, then you have to find those that are not. But of course, it's not only that, Alex, as we know. I mean, a lot of these kids are I mean, if you're a satanic pedophile ring, and those two usually connect, in fact, almost always connect at some point, then you need a supply of children, a constant supply of children. Of course, the social services can do that. In fact, they can target children. I know this is going on, Alex, where someone will target someone, a child. They'll see a child in the community, and they'll say, I want that child. And then someone from the ring in social services then finds a reason why the child shouldn't be with the parents, some spurious reason. We've had a situation here. This is one of endless ones where this woman and her husband, she had fertility treatment, £38,000 worth, gave birth to twins. A social worker came round when they came out of hospital. She made a joke, hey, having giving birth has ruined my figure, and they took her child away. And when she got angry, as you would, they said, oh, the mother's also got anger problems and therefore a danger to the child. And this is going on epidemic-wise. And in the cases that I've been involved in, and I'm involved in, I've seen blatant lies where the social services have put into reports the mother has faked medical evidence of abuse on the child, and I've seen the doctor's report where it came from. It wasn't faked at all. So it's all lies. And what they've done, this is another element of it, and not just in social services, but very, very significantly so, because of the children being taken, but in government in general. They are using job application techniques to elicit narcissistic personalities who have no empathy, who have no compassion, who have no ability to empathize with the agony of loving parents having their children taken away, and they're getting the jobs in social services, which is why all these parents say it's like talking to a computer. These people have no soul.
But David, going back, they're constantly catching the heads of social services worldwide running pedophile rings. I mean, that's even CNN. But expanding on that, this is part of a larger agenda. As you know, when they set up eugenics 150 years ago, now 160 years ago in England, by the turn of the century, 1900, they created racial hygiene health departments in Germany, England, the U.S., and Canada that openly, so the health department itself is to carry out eugenics. And that's why they now admit blood is taken secretly at birth from all babies in the West and put in a Pentagon database.
Yeah, and what's going on in this country, and I did research for my latest book in America as well on this. It's happening there, big time happening there in places like California, is that they are taking so many children from parents. There was a story in the mainstream media a few days ago where they were saying we're going to run out of foster parents because we're having record numbers of children taken from their families. Now, what this is, of course, linking into what we're talking about today, it's all part of the process of removing influence and power of parents
And now they're saying...
stone to what Aldous Huxley was talking about.
And China's the model of the one-child policy. Many of their children are raised in government dormitories where they work half the time in factories, and they're now saying they want year-round school, 12 months out of the year, and they want children to stay at school till 9.